Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. It's the morning up. No, it's the afternoon after the night before. Hope you're all having a good time and a fabulous. It's Friday today, isn't it? I've lost track of the days of the week. Thought I'd just have a chat, just generally. I have watched all of Megan's show today, but I'm going to do a whole other video about that. This one is just literally a chat about life, the universe, what the fuck's going on? And firstly, I would like to say a massive, massive thank you to all of you who joined the live yesterday. Graeme would be astonished. Everyone's been astonished. You have all been just so lovely. I know a lot of you have said, if there's anything I can do to help, just being there. I don't think any of you realise how much of a difference you made to Graeme. Graeme was, I know he was a quite blunt, straightforward talker, but he really was quite a social butterfly. He would love chatting to people, and you guys made such a difference to his life. Showing an interest, joining in the conversation, he loved that. And the one thing he really loved doing was going live. Really, really enjoyed that. His eyes would light up. Especially in the last couple of years, if he was feeling a bit down and I'd say, why don't we do a live? Oh yes, I'd love to do that. We can chat to the people. He really loved that. In fact, it's part of his job on the captain on the Dolphin Safari. A major thing he loved doing was chatting to the passengers. Sometimes a bit too long. We wanted him to stop chatting to them and get on with the next trip. So anyway, I thought I'd have a chat with you because as you probably some of you will have seen last night, we had an impromptu live. Right, now, let me explain. It's not like it usually is. I'm having a bit of hair of the dog. I wasn't actually that drunk last night. Well, there's a story to tell. So after the funeral service, we went down to the graveyard, which is right next, where his plot is right next to the runway. I mean, there's nothing between him and the runway, apart from a fence that you can see through, and a jet took off just as he was going in his final resting place. Anyway, I suppose, I'm not sure what time that would have been. Well, it would have been the service was at, it was at 3 o'clock our time, so it probably was about 5 o'clock. So I said, I'm going home. I didn't arrange any kind of a wake. We'd never planned that, and I just thought, best not, Fiona. Best not, quite frankly. On a day like that, you're liable to do and say anything. So let's just go home and have a cup of tea and go to bed. So we went to leave Gibraltar, and the queue, oh my goodness, the queue wasn't just filling up all 6 lanes of the hairpin, it was coming all the way back under the tunnel that they've built at the end of the runway, which means you're going to be in that queue for maybe 2.5 hours. And I just thought, Now, Ben had said, me and my mates were going to the Ship, which is a pub in Marina Bay at the back of the Dolphin Boat. He said, we're all going to the Ship for a drink. And I said, well, you youngsters go ahead and do your thing. And it was me, Faith, Braden, and Tia, her best friend, in the car. And I said, we're going to be stuck in this queue forever. So I had a brilliant idea. I said, I know what. I'll go to Eroski Cafe and I'll have egg and chips. Wait till the queue dies down and then I'll go there. So we went to Eroski and I went up to the cafe. I was bursting for the loo as well. Cafe's shut. It's closed. I thought, brilliant. There's really nothing else that side of the runway. You've got to go all the way round, back round. Anyway, I gave up in the end and I said, sod it. I phoned Ben and I said, are you guys still in the Ship? And he said, yeah. I said, right, I can't get out of Gib. Traffic's too bad. So we all ended up going to the Ship pub, and I haven't drunk in the Ship for, since 2014. I don't really go to pubs. I'm not a pub drinker. I prefer being at home for obvious reasons. Well, unless I'm going live on YouTube and making a complete idiot of myself, which I don't do all of the time, but I do it sometimes. Anyway, the really lovely thing about yesterday was how many young people actually came to the cathedral, people that our kids went to school with, and what an impression Graeme left on them. There were lots of older people as well, but there were a lot of young people. And of course, one thing led to another, didn't it? And I was starting to say, well, if this goes on much longer, I'm going to stay in the Sunbourne tonight, which is it's a hotel in Marina Bay. It looks like an ocean liner. It floats. It is a boat, but it can't sail anywhere, if you know what I mean. It's been purpose-built to just sit in a dock and be a hotel. So I said, I'm going to stay there tonight. And I'm not paying for you lot. You can make your own way home. Anyway, eventually, someone had the brilliant idea and said, oh, let's all go back to the house. And one thing led to another. And then I actually went to bed after that live last night, where we were all, shop drinking contest. And the contest continued apparently after I went to bed. My head hit the pillow. That was it. I was out like a light. Apparently, the proceedings carried on some hours after I'd gone to bed. And this morning when I woke up, the house looked like it had been ransacked. It was trashed. They had used every single glass in the house. The washing up bowl was missing, so I thought, I think somebody's been sick. The mop bucket was missing as well. I thought, perhaps someone else has felt ill. And then I was told all the tales of what happened after I went to bed last night and how things got like 100 times more raucous. And yes, a couple of people, I think at least one person was very, very sick. And the house was half empty this morning because Ben woke them all up at about 6 o'clock and said, come on, we're going snowboarding. So they've gone there, and the one that was sick has gone with them and was still drunk apparently when he was woken up at 6 a.m. and feels pretty bloody awful, but he's been forced to participate in the snowboarding. I don't know when they're coming back. Late tonight, maybe in a few days. They normally go up there for 2 or 3 days, get the most of it while the snow is there. So that's what happened. And Trevor, bless him. And this is the other thing I really want to say a massive thank you to all of you. As you know, I didn't monetize the live yesterday. I didn't think it'd be right to have an advert pop up halfway through. And Trevor and Graeme were really close. I mean, they were naughty, both of them. They would joke and they would tease me and say, we're going to do this and we're going to say that. And I'd go, oh no, don't do that. And he said to me, Graeme would really want, the people want to help and Graeme would want it. He's been posting Graeme's PayPal details throughout the comments of the live and saying it on video. He is naughty. And all of you that have sent money, you are naughty, but thank you from the bottom of our hearts as a family. Graeme's going to have, it's not marble, it's South African granite slab. It's not a tombstone because where he is called a niche. I'll explain, I'll do a video down there once it's in situ. And thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. I mean, you've all been so kind with flowers and with messages. The lady who was in the cathedral, well, Naomi for a start was there with her lovely son, and another lady turned up and said, I've been following you on Facebook for years. It's just been magical. And then the most magical thing happened, and I really wanted to tell you guys this story for people who might lose loved ones, or we've all got this big question, what happens when you die? And I've mentioned before that all of the people that I've known who've died have come back to me within about 2 weeks of having died. And there's only ever been one exception, and that was Graeme's mum, which is really weird because she was very religious, and she and I used to stay up to the early hours talking about the Bible and what happens when you die. And she used to say to me, I'll die before you, Fiona, and I'll come back and I'll say something. And she never did. That's the only one. But other people, family members, even people I didn't get on with particularly, or didn't like, or they didn't like me, all of them have come back, and they've fixed something, and I know it's come from that person. I know it sounds strange. So anyway, Kaisa, my work colleague, she sent me a WhatsApp video. Apparently, it was filmed in the bay. I'll show you the bay for those of you that don't know. That's Africa, over there. That hill in the distance is Africa, and where those ships are, they're bunker barges. Anyway, there are pilot boats, And when they've got a ship coming into the anchorage, the pilot goes and boards and they bring the boat in because they know the lay of the land. Well, some of you will know, but not all of you, our boat is called MV Sea Lion. And a sea lion has come to visit Gibraltar. I think it's still there now. The pilot boat thought that they saw a tyre in the water, and then it started moving, and they realised it was a seal, and they did a video. I've put it on a short, so I'll put a link and a pinned comment so you can all go see it. In fact, I'll put a link to the pilot's actual, or GBC's actual YouTube channel, so you can go and watch it there. He's a grey seal, and I posted that short, and a lot of you were in agreement with me. That's Graeme. Graeme has arranged for that. I'm sure of it. It is wonderful, really, really wonderful. It's a very rare thing here. We do not get seals here. Well, we did. I seem to recall there was a baby seal that had been spotted in Rosier Bay, I think, in 2007. And I think there was another one in about 2011, while I was working at the Dolphin Safari. But we don't get them down here. And I think they were very small baby seals, and I think maybe they'd escaped from somewhere. I don't know. But this one's a big one, fully grown. And apparently it's been tracked. It's a well-known one, and it is usually in warmer water, colder waters. And well, Gibraltar is just feeling super honoured at the moment to have this gorgeous animal there. And I said to Kaiser, that's the name of our boat, Sea Lion. What are the chances of that? Isn't that incredible? And then today, because all the boys have gone off, well, almost all the boys have gone off snowboarding, and I've got the girls here and Braden, I thought, well, I'm not going to do anything today. I'm just, because it's been such a big week, I'm just going to watch Megan's With Love Megan thing. And I actually started to get very, very depressed by about episode 5. I mean, firstly, it's intensely boring. Secondly, she does things like teaches us how to make ice cubes, teaches us how to cut a strawberry in half. I mean, it's kind of pitiful. It is to be pitied, really. I'm not sure I could even parody it, because with Megan, when I do the parodies, I suddenly get inspiration because I see her a certain way, and so I project that. But I'm not getting that. I'm thinking that she has nothing going on between her ears. I think Netflix, it's the shame of Netflix. I can't believe they put such a poor quality program out. There's this awful jingle music. Every time she does something, like she'll cut a cucumber up, and then there'll be like commercial jingle music, like Fairy Liquid. It's not Fairy Liquid, but it's the type of music that they would play. The music is cringeworthy. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. She goes on about crudités all the time, crudité, and she's there cutting up all these raw vegetables. She cuts a few up. I guess the staff do the rest. It came across to me that none of the people she had on the show were actually her friends. They were appearing on it because it was Netflix. For example, she said, I think it was that dolphin woman, Delphine, Nacho's missus. And Megan said at the beginning of the episode, well, Delphine is coming over. I'm going to have a fag while we're chatting, guys, because this is just you and me. Get a fag, get a vino. Let's have shots contest. No, let's not do that. I don't actually drink any other alcohol except this. I don't like spirits very much. Anyway, I think she made this Delphine some kind of bread. And I'm sure she said at the beginning of the episode, well, Delphine is coming over, and I only learned how to do this recipe a couple of weeks ago. But then later in the episode, Delphine says, oh, you're finally going to teach me how to bake your famous bread. And I think, well, that's a lie. Either Megan's lying or Delphine's lying, one or the other. Because Megan already said she only learned how to do this a couple of weeks ago. And now this woman's like, oh, you've been promising. And the interaction between Megan and the women and the men that she has on her show, even Daniel, the crying makeup artist, there's nothing natural about it. I mean, you see how people are when they're, like us last night, when you know people, you interrupt each other, you talk over each other, you laugh. There's nothing like that. It's so forced. And I started to feel quite depressed, and I thought, she literally hasn't got any friends. What an empty, boring life she has. If all she can do is sprinkle flowers on food. You know, what? I mean, she's a multi-millionairess. If I had her access to her stuff, I mean, I'd be doing all sorts of stuff. I'd be doing DIY projects. I'd probably buy a jet ski and, I don't know, I'd go horse riding. I'd do stuff. She literally has a very, very empty, shallow, hollow life, which you guys don't. I don't. You know, we have quite a laugh here, don't we? And we get up to all sorts. And she does nothing. And that's why she repeats these things. That's why she's got no imagination. Like the car park pap walks, I suppose, and the boring jewellery and the weird choice of clothes. There is nothing, there's no depth to her at all. As I say, I'll do a whole thing on the series. It was really difficult. It was really painful. I had to keep going out for cigarette breaks and pausing it. I fell asleep twice, like I did in Polo. I've got to say, it's nowhere near as well made as Polo, and it's nowhere near as interesting as Polo. I mean, Polo was bloody marvellous in comparison, and that was a bore fest. I can't imagine Netflix. If Netflix renew it, well, they're just suicidal, aren't they? Oh, she's got dirt on someone there. That's what I think. She must be blackmailing someone. I mean, it's just so bad. I know a lot of you aren't going to watch it, and my advice is don't, because my first thought was, oh my God, 8 hours. I think it's 8 hours. It might be 4 hours actually, 40-minute episodes, and I think there's 7 or 8 episodes, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And there's no cooking in it. She doesn't cook anything in it. Other people cook things, but mostly what she does is she cuts up vegetables and fruit and goes and picks lettuce leaves. That's the whole nub of it. I mean, like, nobody else could do that. I would love to see her on a show with Gordon Ramsay. Cool, can you imagine? He'd go, fucking waste of space, wouldn't he? Anyway, what's happening next? Well, I've got to get on and finish some stuff off on the house, and then I'm going to be back on the boat, really, and crack on with the boat. Graeme, bless him, he ordered me some resin and mat, which is in the hallway, ready to go. So I think, and he's with us. He's watching us all, believe me. And so are your loved ones. I've said for a long time, dead people can see us. They can see and hear everything we're doing. It's a bit like Big Brother. We're still in it. We're still in the game. And they've left the game, and they're viewers. And I do think that they can have influence. Oh, and there was another thing he said. Before he lost his speech, so it would have been about 3 nights before he left, he was doing this thing with his hands. And he said, nothing can happen until all the numbers are synchronised. And I asked him what he meant, and he denied he'd said anything. It was very strange. There are more things in heaven and earth, my friends, and I'd like to say a massive thank you again to all of you. And I think that you lead very, very rich lives. I think we all do, in comparison to Meghan and Harry. Now I have seen a bit more of her and a glimpse into it. It's like watching a husk. It really is. Anyway, as always, thank you very much for listening and tolerating all of our drunkenness and stuff, the impromptu wake. I should have filmed the house this morning. You wouldn't have believed it. I mean... but it's all cleared up now. Thank you very much for listening.